Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh, and the new Fantastic Four trailer is really cool, but it's also absolutely hiding things from us, the fans. I've now watched this trailer over 100 times, scanning every inch of every frame to discover its secrets. And the biggest one that is absolutely blowing my mind has to do with this scene here, which I am convinced is actually showing us the birth of Franklin Richards. And of course, I've been following along with the leaks and the rumors for this movie, and when you consider some of these crazy freaking rumors, we can definitely begin to see some of that stuff in this trailer. Okay, so the first thing I think this trailer is hiding is a time jump.
Time jump?
And there are a couple of reasons that I believe this. Number one, if you take a look at the first shot of Sue Storm, her hair is incredibly short, and she's also wearing a very 60s dress. Compare this to scenes later on in the trailer where she has much longer hair and where her outfit is much more modern. And when I looked at this scene here with Johnny putting on his spacesuit in his room, I began to realize that this is the same outfit that Sue Storm is wearing in the shot on the balcony when all of the meteorites come in. And if you look at the shot of the entire team on the balcony, this also looks to be more modern than early 60s. Ben Grimm seems to be wearing a more modern suit and tie, and Ben Grimm also looks a lot bigger. He literally looks taller and more filled out. And so I'm kind of thinking that when they first get their powers in the early 60s, that is when you see Ben Grimm kind of looking shorter and less filled out, like this shot here from the Ed Sullivan show. But in this shot on the balcony, the thing looks totally yoked, like he has been lifting some heavy freaking weight, or maybe he's just naturally getting bigger and stronger as time goes on. And in this shot on the balcony, this is when all the meteorites come in, and this is when Johnny flames on and goes out and flies up into the atmosphere. I think it's connected to this sequence where he flies out of the atmosphere towards the moon, and then his flame on powers go away and he falls back into Earth's atmosphere. But again, notice the clothing he is wearing here. It looks just a little bit more modern than the early 60s era clothing. And so I think this entire sequence here is the team coming back together and Johnny going into his old room and trying on his astronaut suit. Otherwise, like, how does this scene make sense? Like, he's just in his room trying on his astronaut suit? Come on, man. It's like when you go back to your old high school room and you try to fit your old clothing on. And so I think you can kind of see in the trailer that there are two different time periods here. One, when the team is together and they're on the rise with their celebrity and superheroing. And then we're potentially seeing another time period where they are possibly not together as a team and they've gone their separate ways. Now, I have to admit, part of this is because I did hear rumors that the team is going to disband, that will have something to do with the birth of Franklin Richards. And then the team will get back together around the time that the Silver Surfer comes to Earth. And that perfectly takes us into the second thing that this trailer is clearly hiding, and that is the Silver Surfer herself. And I say herself because the established rumors are that Julia Garner is going to be playing a female Silver Surfer for this film. This is going to be the character of Shalabal, not a gender-bended Norrin Rad. And we get no look at the Silver Surfer in this trailer, but I think she's in some of these shots, or rather in maybe the reverse of some of these shots, because I actually think that that is the Silver Surfer creating all of these meteorites in this scene where they're all on the balcony. And I also think it will be Silver Surfer that Johnny flies up to meet when he leaves the atmosphere and then loses his flame powers. In fact, it could even be the sight of the Silver Surfer or something to do with her aura or power cosmic that causes Johnny to lose his powers. That would be kind of similar to some stuff that has happened in Marvel Comics and to stuff that happened in the old Rise of the Silver Surfer film. And I'm really curious to see what the Silver Surfer is going to look like. Like, is this just going to be a naked female that's all metallic and shiny? Really interested to see how they handle that and how powerful she is in this film. Silver Surfer and all Heralds of Galactus are actually incredibly strong, to the point where she should be able to solo the entire Fantastic Four team, or at least fight them to a standstill. And then, of course, Galactus is much more powerful than even her. The Herald of Galactus heralds the coming of Galactus. That's like the whole point. The Silver Surfer arrives first on a planet. She'll scope the planet, seemingly try to find one that's not as inhabited, and then she warns all the people on the planet that they're all about to die. Galactus is coming, get off planet. But in the case of this movie, the rumors about what Galactus actually wants are kind of crazy. So Galactus and Silver Surfer are not rolling up to this Earth simply to destroy it. Instead, they are apparently on Earth because of Franklin Richards. And that perfectly brings us into the last major thing that is hiding in this trailer, and that would be Franklin Richards himself. Now, going back to this scene, which we teased earlier on in this video, you can clearly see Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards and Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm in space. Vanessa Kirby is not in a spacesuit, and she is lying on something, and her powers are going haywire. The scene also seems to be really chaotic, and when we first watched the trailer, it appeared that this is actually from when the incident happens, when all the cosmic rays blast the ship, and then Sue gets her powers. And the first time I watched this, I imagined it as that kind of a scene where she's getting her powers for the first time. Maybe they don't know what's going on. Reed is really afraid, but that's not what's going on here. I mean, you can clearly see on Reed's shoulder a Fantastic Four badge. And if this was the event of them getting their powers, they would not be wearing Fantastic Four badges. That doesn't even exist until after the accident. They would be wearing just regular NASA badges, which you can see on their arms in these shots. So this shot is them in space for a different reason. And it made me reconsider some of the dialogue of the actual trailer, because we hear Reed Richards say to Sue Storm, before we went up the first time, you couldn't turn invisible, Ben wasn't a rock, and Johnny didn't catch fire. And I think the thing we all missed about that is that that kind of implies that they're having a conversation about going back up into space. And this reminds me of a very old rumor from Can We Get Some Toast? And the rumor, as reported by them, was that Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm, will reportedly be pregnant with her and Reed's son Franklin when she is first introduced in the Fantastic Four film. And then Franklin will be born shortly after in space. And so I believe, and many others believe, that this shot in the trailer with Reed and Sue on that table is the birth of Franklin Richards. And at this point, there aren't just a few rumors that Franklin Richards is involved in this movie. There are tons of rumors talking about Franklin Richards in this film. Going back to the rumors about the actual team disbanding, the rumors there are that the team will disband after the birth of Franklin Richards, and they won't come back together again until after Silver Surfer arrives and warns them about Galactus. And the rumors are that Galactus is coming to Earth specifically because of Franklin Richards, and in fact, the new rumors about that are that Galactus wants Franklin to remake the universe that Galactus comes from. This is coming from Alex Press on the Cosmic Circus. It's absolutely wild, and it ties into other rumors that suggest that this version of Galactus that we're going to meet in this movie, he is not from this Fantastic Four universe. His universe was destroyed, likely from an incursion, and so Galactus ends up in this universe, and somehow he's aware that Franklin Richards is born on Earth, and that Franklin Richards is so powerful that he could bring back Galactus's entire universe. And obviously that is bananas. That's a banana nut muffin on a Sunday morning, frankly. It's very wild, it's very trippy, and it's going to be crazy for casual audiences to learn about this. And oh man, this stuff has me super excited as a big old comic book nerd, like hell yes. But it does come with some potential problems. You see, there's a lot at stake for Marvel Studios when it comes to this Fantastic Four film. The Fantastic Four is a very important part of Marvel's legacy, and it has had 2 failed versions in live action already. Technically 3 failed versions if you think about that movie that they canceled and never released publicly. And although the Fantastic Four in Marvel Comics have had some really cool stories over the past several years, and those comic books have certainly performed better than the live action counterparts with fans, for the most part, this property has failed to catch on with mainstream audiences. Again, those other 2 versions just were not it. And so there's a lot at stake for getting this movie right, just in general, but it gets even crazier when you consider that Marvel is leaning heavily on this movie to set up Doomsday and Secret Wars, and characters that are introduced in this film are going to be a big part of the Doomsday and of the Secret Wars story. So Marvel's goal is twofold. They need to get people on board with this family of space adventurers and their many insanely weird aspects, and they also need to kind of piecemeal us into the weirdness, into the cosmic multiversal craziness that I am absolutely sure is going to have a lot to do with Doctor Doom, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. And frankly, so far so good, as I think this first trailer made a great first impression with many fans out there. But that also might be due to the fact that a lot of the weirdness and the craziness of this movie is being hidden in this trailer. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below, and as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.